My name is Miriam. I am an entrepreneur. I have started 4 businesses now, mostly in the education sector. And it's funny, when I think about my career highlights, I think pretty non-traditionally, because some of my career highlights have been what you traditionally would say the places where I've been least successful, but where I've learnt the most. I think in one highlight that changed the course of my career was the pain and suffering I went through when I sold my first company. And again, another highlight has been in actually having a co-op I started in LA fail miserably because it was over-reliant on me when all I really wanted to do was be on the side. So I don't know why I'm bringing those things up today, but I'm going to stick with them as my career highlights. It has been really those points that have been painful, where I've learnt the most. So I started life as a theatre and film director. Quickly on becoming a single mother, I realised that wasn't going to pay the rent, nor my son's school fees. So I transferred into the corporate world and used the skills that I'd used in communities with theatre and film in service of organisational change. And so for the past 25 years, I've been working with organisations and communities in organisational change and community change and social transformation, in which the whole community travels through the change together. So when I had enormous success in my first company. In fact, so successful that we fell flat on our face. And in falling flat on our face, I reached out to the side for some help from a wonderful woman whose name is Michelle Duval, an entrepreneur coach, and she introduced me to Mark. I had actually known Mark through other people, and known some of his successes and failures in the kind of the unusual goings on of the marketplace around 2008, which I think we're all aware of. And so I knew of him through that, and then Michelle recommended him highly, and I met him. And when I met him, I knew that I'd met a kindred soul. The first thing I want to say is experience can't be bought. And I think when I was talking about my career highlights, and I immediately went to learning from the things that were the hardest. I think that's what I would say with Mark. Mark's experience has been hard won, and yet his heart is huge. So Mark comes with the unusual combination of deep business experience, practical knowledge, and also a deep understanding of what's important in life, not just in business. Mark's genius is understanding the essence of creativity. Creativity as it powers our lives, our businesses, and the combination of both of those. He understands how to get to what's really at the center of what you want to build. I think as leaders and as entrepreneurs, we often get distracted. We often go around the things that we really want and waste a lot of time and energy doing that. Mark has a knack and very simple processes to get us to a really deep understanding of what we are wanting to build, and then some practical knowledge and networks in getting there. When I think of Mark, I think of his property on the East Coast. I think of that because it's so beautiful, and so unique. And I think of driving in there and having him invite me into his family in times when I've most needed it. And meeting him at 6 a.m. in his little tree house, and him showing me videos of people who were able to give me hope amidst what have been some pretty trying times in my life. Mark has a beautiful heart and a very active, intelligent mind. I think as I go through life, and as I take more risks in my life and in my business, I think I'm starting to understand that it's unusual to find people that you can lean into in a very real way. Mark is one of those people. So as I've gone through different stages in my life, even when I haven't talked to him for a while, when I felt like I needed someone to lean into, someone to help me see beyond where I'm at, I've emailed Mark, and he's always emailed me straight back and always welcomed me with open arms. And for that, I'm really grateful. For anyone who's been an entrepreneur and built a business, especially one that was built like mine was, through years of perseverance and hard work, and then reached a point of burnout, they'll understand what it means to come in amidst that burnout of people pushing and pulling you and wanting things from you, to come into an environment where things were just created for the love of them. And that was my experience of Mark's property, a place that was created just for the love of it. His family, the way he educates his children, the beauty of the property itself is just a reminder of actually what's really important in life. And that's the place from which we need to be creating our businesses and our lives. As an entrepreneur and as someone who takes risks and who is consistently stepping out of the bounds of what's been done before, I look for kindred spirits. Mark is a kindred spirit. Mark is someone who knows what it's like to step out on your own and to feel that exposure. And the support that he's given me is the knowing that I can do that and I can ride through it when it works and when it doesn't. So Mark has been a really caring soul. And also just really practically, my dad died last year. And there were some things I just didn't know what to do about in terms of some of the business dealings of that. And so it's kind of interesting. I trust Mark enough to go with some delicate questions about business and how they intertwine with my life. So I think the support he's given me is a trusting ear, someone who can point me in the right direction and whom I trust will do that with all good intention. I spent a lot of years pressurizing myself to build a business, to build money, a house, a legacy for my children. And within that, I really chose, and I'd only admit this now, I really looked at people for what I could give them or what they could give me. What I treasure about Mark is, although that is true, we do give and receive, the relationship with him is not based on that. And I think that's really important, because what I've learnt is that actually the thing that you create is not that important. What's really important is the quality of the relationships that you build and that you have in your life. And so Mark reminds me of that. There are certain points in my life, I think in most people's lives, where you have breakdown points. When I first went to Mark's farm I was at a breakdown point. And he helped me tease it into a breakthrough point. So even though it didn't make what was happening at that time, which was the sale of my first company, my baby, any easier, and even though it didn't necessarily make the financial outcome better, what it did was open me to the learning that was in the experience. And that's priceless. I'm dubious of the simplicity of measuring impact through financial results only. And I think that that's false, actually. So and it's the easiest thing that people will look at. And I know that, that's what people want so that they can buy into a service that they're going to have to spend money on. I guess my message is that the way that you are in yourself when you approach those dealings will directly impact the outcome that you receive. And so it is you who should be creating the results for your business. And if someone says to you that their process or that by their presence, they will actually give you more money, more success, then I would be careful. I would be looking for the person who says that they will help you know that you can do that yourself. And that is what Mark has done for me. And that is what I hope you realize is what long-lasting success means. I firstly would recommend people who are wanting to start their own businesses, people who are entrepreneurs. I'm thinking of two people now, and I'll describe them because that might help. One person is a person I know who came first in his MBA class, who went on to work for a big financial firm, yet never felt satisfied. And the reason he didn't feel satisfied is because he wasn't actually achieving what he wanted to in his life. I would recommend to him to Mark, because Mark could help him really get to the essence of actually what he wanted and give him the confidence to go and create it. The other person I think of when I think of Mark is a person I know, again, who works in a big corporate, who for the last 15 years, and I can say this because he's a good friend, every time we go out and have a glass of wine, talks about the business idea that he has, yet never has started it. Those are two people I would recommend to work with Mark. And then there's someone like myself, someone who's a serial entrepreneur who needs that place to fall back into the networks that Mark has, the advice that Mark has, and to be able to really change those breakdowns into breakthroughs.